What is going on, everybody? My name is Jacob. I have been a die-hard Detroit Pistons fan since 2003, and I am eager to see this team getting back to playing winning basketball. We've got some news today that the Detroit Pistons have moved on and traded Quentin Grimes to the Dallas Mavericks in exchange for Tim Hardaway Jr. along with 3 second-round picks. In this video, we're going to quickly go over the salary implications of this trade, and towards the end of the video, I'm going to talk about Tim Hardaway Jr. in Detroit, if I think he'll play, and what type of impact he'll have on the roster and Cade Cunningham. So, Tim Hardaway Jr. has 1 year left on his deal. We're looking at about $15 million in exchange for roughly $5 million for Quentin Grimes. So what does that mean for our cap space? Well, instead of about 60 million, we are now down to about 50 million to work with this offseason. There's going to be some people mentioning like buyouts, things like that, but I don't think that's the case here. I don't see that at all. I think they have full intentions of Tim Hardaway Jr. coming here to play, and we also get these 3 second-round picks. Now, Quentin Grimes' time in Detroit was obviously very short-lived. We gave up Bogey and Alex Burks for him. So was a little bit disappointed that he didn't get more of a shot here. I know a lot of people like to kind of point towards the couple games that he did play for us and he shot poorly. I don't think that was a big enough sample size to really take anything away from. And I also just don't really think that he was at full health during that time either. So something to consider. But nevertheless, I mean, what this says to me is that Trajan probably wasn't as high on Quentin Grimes as Troy Weaver. And yeah, it's okay. We're going to have to shake some things up, and we're getting Tim Hardaway Jr. back in return. So let's talk about Tim Hardaway Jr. Of course, he went to the University of Michigan. Shout out Ann Arbor. So he has definitely spent time in the state before. He is a true NBA veteran, about 32 years old. He's played the shooting guard, maybe a little bit of small forward for most of his career. He is a wing shooter, but not exactly like the most knockdown wing shooter of all time. He's a career 36% three-point shooter, but on very high volume. So realistically, I don't think this is a bad thing at all. I'm honestly not the biggest Tim Hardaway Jr. fan ever, that's for sure, but he is the type of guy that fills a lot of holes on our roster right now. Those holes are: number one, veteran presence. The guy's been around the league now for like 10 years plus. He's been on good teams. He's been on bad teams. He obviously has NBA kind of legacy in him with his father. So the guy's been around the block, and he's definitely going to add some veteran presence to this roster that is severely lacking that. So hopefully he can be a great locker room guy. There was a time when Cade was getting his shin splint surgery or stress fracture surgery taken care of, and he actually reached out to Tim Hardaway Jr. as Tim Hardaway Jr. had the same surgery, so there should be a little bit of a connection there. On the floor itself, Tim Hardaway Jr. really is the prototypical player that you would want next to Cade. Obviously, like the real prototypical player you would want next to Cade in the backcourt is like, I don't know, Jaylen Brown, but like we're not getting Jaylen Brown, right? So a guy who can play off the ball, who can shoot the ball, is the type of guy that you want next to Cade. Will he start? I doubt it. Maybe he will though. So overall, I'm not really sure on what direction they're going to go. There's still a lot of time left in free agency, a lot of time to make further moves. So it's really hard to say exactly what his role will be on this roster until we actually see the finalized roster in training camp. But either way, I think that he will have a real actual place on this team and be sharing the floor with Cade Cunningham. And I'm excited to see that because he'll definitely be a guy who spaces things out for Cade more so than a lot of the other shooting guard options that he has had in his career with Detroit. So yeah, that's going to be a good thing for Cade overall. And the veteran presence and spacing is definitely something that I think we should be looking forward to. Even though he's not an all-star or young potential player or anything like that, I think that he is welcome on this team as he does fill a few gaps. I think that it is sad to move off Quentin Grimes this quick, but the roster needs a shakeup. We have a lot of young players and not very many older players. So getting a guy with this type of veteran presence in the locker room is something that I think is going to be okay. I know that he did lose a lot of his minutes with the Mavericks this past year, but look, the The Mavericks are literally on the other end of the spectrum compared to us. The Mavericks were in the finals, we were in the bottom of the league. It's not a big deal if he's not able to chop it for NBA Finals minutes at the moment because we're not going to be playing in the NBA Finals anytime soon. He did average 14 points per game last year on like fine efficiency. Not good, but just like fine. So even though he's older, I still think that he does have like a year or two of actual rotation minutes left in him at the very least. So I'm open to it. I'm not super excited to move off of Grimes. I can't say that these 3 second-round picks are changing my outlook on our asset cabinet at the moment, but I'm open to it. I can't say I'm super excited, but I also can't say I'm like super disappointed. Pretty right in the middle on this deal. So let me know how you guys feel about this trade. Welcome to Detroit, Tim Hardaway Jr., and we'll talk soon.